I first became a father June 25th, 2018 to my daughter Eden. My daughter Elise was born a year later on June 24th, 2019.
I became a dad on August 30th, 2020, Sunday afternoon at approximately 1:40 p.m.
Because Sharon was in labor for almost 2 days, I was in the hospital, I was holding her hand. Definitely I wanted to be in the room because I did not want to even miss a minute.
So when Mason was being delivered, I was there right in the middle of it all. And up until that point, we were hoping that that would be the case because during COVID, during the height of COVID last year, a lot of people were not allowed to join their spouse in the delivery room. And so when August came around and we were finally given the green light that I could be there, we were relieved. So yeah, I was right there in real time watching it all go down.
Because there were a lot of health concerns before Elise was born, I was very nervous going up to that day. But the moment that the doctor put my daughter in my hands, all those worries went away. I realized that I was so proud to be a father, and I had a daughter and she would be the most loved daughter there ever was.
You know, to talk about how I really felt when Mason was born, it's a mix of tons of emotions. I mean, anticipation, relief, excitement. You can imagine you have a surge of emotions coming from, the moment you found out that you were having a child, and then waiting, and then you're constantly reading and researching and watching videos and trying to prepare for this moment, and then to realize that everything you prepared for went out the window. Your child is coming 2.5 weeks early. The nursery is not really put together just yet, and so it was an excitement that day of honestly to get everything together, and then we headed to the hospital, and then waiting all night afterwards. That felt very long, but you're waiting, and so that anticipation just builds. So that moment when it was time to go, I mean, it was go. The atmosphere changed, the lights changed in the room, the bed changed, and a whole different staff came into the room, and everyone had an assignment. Even I had an assignment. I had to jump in there and hold Leeva's head in hand and make sure that she can, that she felt supported throughout it all. So when Mason finally crowned, I mean, it all came up, and so it was really overwhelming to see Mason come through and to see Leeva mustering every little bit of strength that she had within her to bring forth and to come to that point. It was I don't even know what to call it, but it was just surreal. It was a huge wave of emotion.
Though I never explicitly had a conversation with my dad about fatherhood, almost everything that I learned about being a father came from watching my dad. I mean, my dad, when he first became father, I guess it was also like a shock to him, and he was like learning things as they came. But as time went by, I began to see a lot of growth and improvement in my dad as a father. So I tried to copy all the good things I saw in my dad and try to improve on things that I saw my dad could do better.
And so that void and was so strong for him. And I remember him sharing that desire that he would just want one day to spend with his dad and mom. And that's a desire he's always shared with us growing up. And I've always understood that role is irreplaceable for a young child, let alone a teenager, a young adult. Finally, when my dad got married to my mom, he really embraced my mom's dad and called him Papa, because that was a role that he was really looking for, that support, that figure that he can lean on and ask questions and have that protective covering over him. That structure was something that he really needed, and so I've always understood that through those stories and interactions he would share with me. So I remember having conversations with my dad about his upbringing, his experience as a child. He would often talk about how he misses his own dad and mom. He never had that interaction. His dad and mom was taken away from him at a very young age, where he doesn't even recall an interaction with his dad and mom. He doesn't even know how they really look like in person. But more than that, he always reminded me that no matter what you do in life, whether you become a manager or a husband or a father, whatever it may be, your relationship with your Heavenly Father should never be compromised, because that's what keeps you, that keeps all your other external relationships centered. And so that's something that's always stuck with me.
I really started talking to Freddie about fatherhood when I first heard that he was going to be a father. For me, it was a really exciting time because finally one of my closest friends was stepping into that next phase of life where we could share experiences. And, he's one of the few, close friends I have who was going to become a father. So we shared a lot of like the things we were reading, a lot of the things I learned as a father. I tried to maybe give him a leg up, and it's really one of the greatest assets I've had, having Freddie also being a father, because that's something that we have in common that a lot of our other peers our age really are not in that phase yet.
So Alvin and I have a very open relationship. I mean, it goes back to our days growing up in high school and college, and then going through the phase of getting married, and now having kids, and to be able to have that open door in all of that has been a huge support, and in talking about our struggles and things like that. One of the things I remember is having conversations with Alvin about the difference in parenting styles in between the husband and wife, and how our approaches may be different, but it's the blend of the two that gives a well-rounded experience for your little one. Those types of things, to have that kind of conversation, it was very reassuring, and it's very comforting, and also to be able to talk about any struggles or concerns, to be able to pray with one another. That's always something that I was always been comfortable with Alvin about, is to pray with him about certain things like that. And so his advice of always being ready, get ready to be a father, was something he told me from the beginning.
So Elise was born before the pandemic, but because of her immunity and things like that, we were extra protective, sheltering her and making sure that she didn't really go out. But it just so happened that just as she had grown enough that we were ready and interested in trying to bring her out and socialize her, that's when the pandemic hit. So it kind of was like Elise lost, that this last year where, we really were excited about socializing her. We had to kind of isolate her, and because of that, it kind of, it was difficult because Elise was growing and she was interested in learning new things, but me and Sharon were pretty much, and our family members were the only people she was really exposed to, even like cousins her age and other kids her age. She wasn't able to really spend time with them, so that was kind of a challenge for us. And that's one of the things that we're really excited about, that as we come out of this pandemic, hopefully, that now Elise can finally meet with friends and meet with kids her age.
So the pandemic really shifted our approach to parenting, so much so, I mean, we are the ones typically to go out and travel and to check out the outdoors, and we were eager to bring our baby to that, to expose him to those types of things, and our family is all around us. And when all of that went into lockdown, literally, it shifted our approach. Our focus was to protect him and ourselves from any type of exposure, because if we go down, who's going to take care of him? And so that was something that was very important for us at that time, with Mason being so young and so susceptible. We wanted to protect him at all costs, but that type of shift, however, got us more time with Mason. That lockdown allowed for myself and Leeva to be at home 24/7, to meet his needs, to understand what he was struggling with, if something was off, we were able to really hone in on it, and otherwise we may have missed and just chalk it up to colic or whatever. We were able to actually dig in and to see what he was really struggling with, and so we were able to get very close to him, and now coming out from it, to be able to finally bring him back out also, slowly expose him to family and friends, and to bring him outside. I mean, it's a dramatic change for him as well. I mean, for the first 6 months of his life, the world was from our window. And so for him to finally come out now, and to feel the grass and to see the tree and to get excited every time he sees the plane hover above, that's really awesome.
The greatest thing about being a father is the time I get to spend with Elise. After a long, tiring day at work, it's so exciting to come home and open the door and see Elise come running out and hug me and kiss me and tell me about her day. And just the time I get to spend with her and show her new things, like things that I take for granted, they're so new to her, and to see how she experiences it through her eyes is a really rewarding experience as a father. And at the same time, I think it's a big responsibility also, where I have to really give her I want to give her the best, and I want to help her be the best person that she could be. And so, but the greatest thing I learned about fatherhood through Elise is my capacity to love. I mean, the greatest thing that I could see is that, like, when Elise was first born, like, I never realized I could love someone so much the way that I love her. And I just want the best for her.
Yeah, the best parts about being a dad, I mean, there's so many. He's only 9 months right now, but there are tons of things that I love about being a dad, because one of the biggest ones, I think, is his response to me is very unique, and the way he interacts with me is very unique, and vice versa with Leeva also. He does things that he only does with Leeva, and then there are things that he only does with me, and so that type of relationship that he has already with me is something that's so impressive, amazing, and fulfilling. And so much so, like, if I were to go out right now, I mean, he notices as soon as I pick up the keys or put on my hat. He has that look in his face where he's like, are you gonna take me or not? And so, and vice versa, when I come back in, I have that excitement, Dad's back. And so that response and that feeling that he's showing right now is very pure. It's not jaded by any external forces, and he doesn't see my flaws and my struggles and concerns and whatnot. He sees me for who I am, and then that's his dad. Of course, he doesn't know dad like that, although he started saying dada, so that's also another highlight for me about being a dad right now. But yeah, that relationship that I have with Mason is very unique, and one thing I could talk about is in the middle of the night, if I have to pick him up, he does something that's very unique in that he'll, of course, when you pick up a child in the middle of his sleep, it's kind of, half conscious and half startled, and they're trying to make out what's going on in the darkness. But what he does is he tries to feel for my beard, and so this is something that he did at a very young age. And so anytime anyone else tries to feed him, and he's dozing off, his hand wanders and he tries to feel everyone's chin, and everyone else gets clawed and scratched up. Yeah, he feels for my beard, and it's that type of satisfaction of being a dad, that your son finds comfort and safety in you as a father. And so that type of feeling is worth it, and I can't get over it. And I hope this is more to come, more best dad moments to come. He's only 9 months, and I can't wait for more.
please. Are you ready? Can you give Mama the half and half? The half and half?
The coffee.
Where's the coffee cream?
No, the
She wants
cream.
half and half.
Coffee. Half and half.
That's the coffee. All right, can you give Mama the banana? Yes!